hello, everyone. Welcome to Real Estate with Ryan. So excited to be with you on a Saturday, talking a little real estate. It's always what we like to do here in the studio. It's been a long week, and I know you guys are ready for a great holiday weekend coming in. And there would be no other place I'd like to be with you guys. Holiday, Memorial Day, kiddos getting out of school. I told you my daughter's done with basketball. That was an event. We had 4 games on a Saturday. I mean, we're just done. We're over it. I mean, the parents are working hard. The coaches are working hard. And my daughter said, hey, it's pool time. It's beach time. So I know you guys are ready for a little summer vacations. And I hope you're having a good one. Any plans this summer? A lot of news in the real estate market. A lot of things moving at fast pace. It is one of the busiest times of the year. Let's rephrase that. It is the busiest time of the year. It's summer. Kiddos get out of school. If you're thinking about buying or selling, you had your home on the market in the spring, or maybe you're relocating to East Tennessee. And, guess what? We've got to get the kiddos in the right school district for school. So now's the time. And before we start, we got a really good show for you. We're talking about common home sellers' mistakes to avoid. We've bought and sold a bunch of homes, or maybe it's your first time. You can never reinforce some of the things that we're going to talk about today. And then on the second half of the show, we'll talk about some new trends and some ideas if you're thinking about renovating your home, maybe some updates. You want to be on top of your game on some of the articles that we're going to talk about, which will be really, really helpful. And the main thing is we're going to have fun on this show. April's not here. She's already in beach mode. She may already have the car warmed up, ready to go. As soon as we get out of here, we're gone. So I'll be thinking about you guys at the beach, but, have to have some family time. Hope everybody's doing well, and I hope you guys have family time this week and this weekend. And let's talk about some new listings that we have on the market. Some congrats, a lot of congrats, and we'll get into the show. So congrats. Start off with Highway 131, back under contract, closing pretty quickly. Burt Newman Lane in Knoxville, under contract, closing soon. Joyner Hollow Road in Rockwood, closing. Jones Cove Road in Sevierville, closing very soon. Kenilworth Lane, multiple offers, by the way, above list price, closing right around the corner. St. John Street in Jeff County, congrats. Crooked Pine Lane, sold that before it even hit the market. Cedar Lane, I was talking about that in the show. Nick and I were talking. 50 showings, multiple offers, 50 showings in just a couple days. Insane. Seller was like, Ryan, can we stop showing? I said, sure. 467 Watauga Avenue under contract. Congrats. 169 Upton Road in Sweetwater. Matthew Cove Lane, closing right around the corner. New listings on Bear Hollow Road. Make sure you check that particular property out. Great building lot with mountain views. 510 Circle Drive. New listing out in where? Union County. And then 806 Beanstalk Road. Building lot in Gatlinburg. Make sure you check that out. And I think that's it. Oh, and congrats to our great seller on 7815 Galaxy Way and 4831 to Charles on Tamachi Drive. Great sellers. Enjoyed working with them. And that's my congrats and a lot of work here. As you can see, the summer's picking up. Our team's full force, working pretty fierce. Kind of need that vacation, guys. I know you kind of feel like it as we're almost going halfway at the end of the year. I want to tell you that in a couple of days, it's my birthday, man. Hope you guys wish me a happy birthday. I don't even want to tell you the number because it's coming so quickly. And it's hard to believe we're halfway through the year, isn't it? Here it is, end of May. June's right around the corner. And before you know, it'll be football time in East Tennessee. So we've got a lot of great things happening for football time in East Tennessee. Make sure you're following all of our social channels. Our real estate market is fast paced. And I don't think we talk enough about what we're going to be doing this year. It's going to be exciting. And make sure you got to be in there. Make sure you follow, subscribe, because more than likely you'll blink and hear it's football time. So I want you guys to keep up to date with our pages. So check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. And then, of course, if you're watching Real Estate with Ryan, as far as some of the replays, Facebook is there and YouTube are a perfect opportunity. And, of course, you can catch us on the radio at News Talk 98.7 at 1 o'clock. And then we're Talk Radio 92.3 FM at 11 a.m. So make sure you check that out. And if you hadn't had a chance to vote, knock stars. Got a late run on that, but nominate us. I think the voting's out for 2023. And we love to appreciate your vote there. means the world as always. All right, let's talk about it. Common home selling mistakes to avoid. Mr. Ryan, I've got this covered, but I've sold several properties, and that may be true, but it seems like in our industry, and I've sold quite a few, being in the business for a while, it's always something new. It doesn't matter. And it's kind of comical, but you never know what goes on. We just had a deal that I got an email, and some of the stuff that we deal with is, it's like, what is going on? This is why you need an agent in today's market. Great clients out of state. We purchased a property in Johnson City, and unfortunately, the property didn't go through on inspection. Seller had to go back to California. Some other different things were going on, and ultimately, there were several things wrong with the property. But we get to the inspection, and unfortunately, the seller, doesn't like it. And goes in and says, "Well, we don't believe you. We had cameras in the home, and we think that you weren't serious, or you're going to buy another home, and so we're not going to release the escrow." So just when you think things are as easy as you could be, it never happens. It's never a dull moment. So now we've got to take care of making sure our client gets their escrow money back. They're well within their rights and terms. But what it comes down to is, in this market, you guys are seeing it, not only sellers, but agents as well. They're getting a little salty. They're getting a little aggravated. As the market shifts, you got to be very, very careful. Make sure you have a good agent in your corner that's going to work with you from start to finish, and make sure you're covered. Make sure your contracts are written strongly, and make sure you have your clauses and things to make sure that there's no loopholes in the contract. So let's talk about selling costs. If you're thinking about selling today's market, there's a lot of things that go into selling. We always talk about it. A lot of sellers say, "Well, hey, Ryan, what am I going to walk away with?" And really, sellers, that's the only thing that matters. What you're going to get a check from at closing. If you're buying a new home, what you're going to take to your new home, or maybe you're cashing out on that investment property, and just say, "Hey, I'm out the real estate market and I'm done. And so I'm going to cash out." And so those are what matters. But there's things called commission if you hire an agent. Of course, you can do it yourself. And then there's deed fees, recording fees, and things like that. Typically in Tennessee, if you're buying a home, the buyer is going to bear most of your cost. They're going to pay your inspections. They're going to pay for if they get a chimney inspection. How about a radon inspection? Termite is very popular. We do all those inspections, but it's really a cost of the buyer. So as a seller, you're not going to have to kind of carry about forking out the money for those inspections. So more than likely, if you have a buyer paying thousands of dollars for inspections, you've got a serious buyer on your hands, which is a good thing. Yes, in the market, sellers, you do pay commission. Now, I just got a call from a potential client that we talked to a couple months ago. And although commission is important, picking the right agent in the market that's going to market the home. As we see the market shift, and although in certain pockets of the market in Knoxville, we're getting multiple offers and there's not enough inventory. But in certain price ranges, that's not the case, where some sellers are having a hard time. And so it comes down to marketing and having the right team behind you. So I am big on marketing and taking care of our clients. Our team is focused here at Hometown Realty. It's what we do. That's why we're a smaller company, and we focus on keeping clients for life. We always say, listen, it's never about the commission. It's always focusing on people. Because when you focus on people, good things tend to happen. And that's what we focus on here. So yes, there's a cost. Unfortunately, there is a cost. But don't make your next decision on your agent that you choose on just the commission. We always urge you that if you're interviewing somebody, at least interview one or two people, because not all agents are the same. And what we do to market is going to kind of shed some light on why we're getting outstanding results. Why just one of the advertisements that we just sent out had 50 showings and multiple offers. That's the kind of marketing activity that we can still bring in 2023. So very important, where you weighing commission, look at the marketing, because it makes the big deal of difference. Now, you can sell your own. We still see a lot of for sale by owners out in today's market, and it's a challenge. We know that buying or selling today's market, I don't care if you guys are doing it, we're doing it. We know it's stressful. Well, with the mortgage regulations changing, that they're charging buyers more money on interest, right? I saw that today. They're charging buyers more money on interest depending on your credit score, and some for less. Interest rates are up. What does that do with buyers? Give some hesitations. So as a for sale by owner, obviously there's some challenges. Marketing's key, Let's face it, on the weekend, we have an out-of-state buyer. Are we missing opportunities if you're putting in the market and you don't have the right agents working for you? If we don't have agents showing it enough, you need more people. I always say marketing comes down to this. The more people that we can get through the door, the better opportunities that we have, not only to find that right buyer, right? But to find that buyer that's going to be willing to pay your price and everybody be a win-win. We've got more coming with Real Estate with Ryan. You guys stay tuned.
Knoxville and East Tennessee. The region is known for its rolling hills, rivers, and lakes. There's no better place to work, live, or raise a family. Home is where your story begins. Buying or selling your home is a big decision, and you need a real estate team you can trust.
I'm Ryan Coleman with Hometown Realty, your hometown experts. Whether you're buying or selling a home, let us develop a winning game plan for you.
Hometown Realty is East Tennessee's #1 real estate group and a proud sponsor of the Vols.
I'm Ryan Coleman with Hometown Realty. The real estate market's changing every day. You need to know your home's value in today's market. Text your home address to 290-2290 for an instant, no obligation home evaluation. That's 865-290-2290. And remember, when you're ready to sell, we have a guaranteed sale program to get you in your next home stress-free. Trust your hometown experts. We've helped thousands of people just like you.
All right, we're back at it. Real Estate with Ryan, Rapid Fire Edition, Memorial Day. We're coming in hot on a holiday, guys. I hope you guys are doing well. Excited to be with you. I could not miss it. I promise that the truck is ready to go to the beach, but I couldn't miss you guys. Kind of like family, man. We've been on the real estate for almost radio for almost 7 years. Hard to believe. I know it's kind of radio, so we don't get to really physically see each other. That's why we have all of our shows. In case you miss it, we're on Facebook or Instagram. So if you ever wonder who that guy is on the radio, man, check us out. Follow us, like us, subscribe. Show us some love. We appreciate it. We try to put a little time into these shows to make them as entertaining as possible, give you good information. And when ultimately you're thinking about buying or selling, we'd be honored to be selected and love to work with you on a big decision that you're making. So first half, we're talking about selling your home, common mistakes that you may make. And we talked about selling for sale by owner. Very typical. It happens usually. It's where one spouse wants to do it and the other spouse says, honey, no, thank you. We're too busy. But it's still an option. You just have to understand in today's market, as we are in the summer months, have holidays, vacation, it comes down to marketing, whether you're selling the home or you hire an agent to solve your problems. Really in this market, putting the most money in your pocket is number one. Gosh, we know with inflation, cost of everything rising, you just can't afford this market where it could be the last seller's market that we'll see in a long time to miss out. And there's a big deal that comes in with, Ryan, commission is a factor and you guys charge too much. And I get that everything's too much. But if we focus on the numbers and we focus on what you're walking away with, and really when we add value to you guys, we take the drama, we get it solved, we bring multiple offers, we get them competing, we're doing our job. And hopefully you guys see some value in that. But just keep in mind, if you're selling for sale by owner, the number one tip that I would say to everybody, and I see this all the time because we work a lot with for sale by owners and buyers that we've helped, is make sure you're open to talking to agents. Make sure that if an agent calls on the property, be open to show it. Remember, a lot of us have buyers that will work with you and we can put deals together. So the more open that you are, the more kinder that you are, no hostility to the agent. I think it puts you in a better position because we never know where that one buyer is coming from. And when in doubt, if you're on the market for sub owner, guess what? Have an opportunity to have an interview with another agent. At least you can compare both options and we know what you need to do in today's market. Now let's talk about pricing. And that doesn't matter if you're selling it yourself or you're our great clients. In today's market, let's rephrase that. In any market, I've got a great home. I put a lot of care into it. I've done a lot of upgrades. Maybe the spouse has put a lot of work into it. Yard, landscaping. I need to get the most amount of money. Well, pricing it wrong in today's market, even if it's a hot market or a neutral market, if you don't have the right price, unfortunately, what we'll do is ending up letting our neighbors sell because buyers in any market They're always shopping price. What the neighbor sold, looked on realtor.com and saw what the neighbor sold. And then, of course, that's how they're going to judge their pricing. So make sure you understand pricing. And if you're not familiar with pricing, get with a great agent to talk about today's market. A year ago sold really is not relevant in today's market. A lot of times where in our industry, we talk about comps. Comps. What's the comps? Really, comps are just kind of a nickname for comparables. And they're looking for homes that have sold in the area, usually within the same neighborhood or same area within a short period of time. The rule of thumb is 12 months, but when you're in a fast-paced market, you could go 6 months. And quite honestly, in today's market, we're not really even looking back 90 days. A home's worth what a buyer and seller is willing to pay. And the more that we can look right now in today's market, you want to look at your pending sales, because our pending sales are going to tell you exactly what a buyer is willing to pay. Now, the challenge with that is, with a pending sale, how do you know exactly what it sold for? Did it go above list? Was there multiple offers? That's why you need a great agent involved, because you can know those factors, because you may price your home too low, or you may not leave enough room for wiggle room, because there's still that wiggle room. I had a great seller that we're listing this weekend, and he said, Ryan, you know what? I don't want to put out my exact price because I need a little wiggle room. He said, even in today's market, everybody wants a little wiggle. I was like, I was kind of laughing at him. I was like, everybody does want a little wiggle, don't they? And so in today's market, talk about your pricing strategy with your agent. Make sure that you're not overpricing it, but at the same time that you're not underpricing it, leaving any money on the table. With the interest rates today, one of the biggest things, and of course, we're a Dave Ramsey trusted ELP. We've been with Dave for over 7 years, and he entrusts us with, a lot of clients throughout the area. And he's big on budgets. And if you've ever watched some of Ramsey's shows or some of the content that he puts out, he's firm about keeping a budget and keeping your costs down low and ultimately being out of debt. But moving to a new home in a new market, obviously, we're big fans of moving forward in today's market because the real estate is going up dramatically. And we don't see any kind of signs of the market going, a Hardin Valley home going for, what was 400 now has doubled to 800. And we just don't see that market going from 800 to 600. So the idea of the price decreasing dramatically, unless something happened out of the control, is not, more than likely, is not going to happen. So securing that property at the right terms and the right budget is everything. So when you start looking, the first thing that you need to do, and even if you bought multiple homes, I had a great client the other day, and with the interest rates, you think you kind of got an idea where the market is, but you really need to get with a great lender and talk about payments and strategies. There's ARMs, there's adjustable. I just saw that a lender came out yesterday. They have a 1% down payment. It really just depends on what you're looking for. 15-year, 10-year, to avoid interest, avoid PMI. But get a budget, stay within a payment budget, and start there. Even if you're in a range where the market seems to keep going up, make sure you're wide in your range. Stay within your budget, because you don't want to be into a home that you can't afford. I've been selling real estate for over 24 years. One of the first listings that I've ever taken was in this beautiful community. It really wasn't even here. It was in Virginia, where I was originally from. And it was a gorgeous property, beautiful hardwood floors, upstairs. I met the client, and they'd been living there for multiple years. And the one thing that stood out to me, I was early in my real estate career, maybe the first or second year in the business. And I went in the home, and there was like no furniture. And there was maybe a couch, maybe a TV, but literally this 4,000 square foot house was empty. Now, I don't know the situation, but more than likely, he got a big old house and didn't really understand what comes with it to finish and furnish it. And there's just a lot of money involved. So he got a huge house, but really wasn't up to par, and he really couldn't afford it at the time, to be really honest. So keep in mind with your budget and keep a price in mind and stick to it. That's number 6 there. When you're selling your home in today's market, sometimes we have a vacant home. We have a new one coming up in Hardin Valley, and it's beautiful. Hardwood floors, great location. But sometimes you just look on the pictures and I just can't imagine my stuff. Buyers in today's market, it's hard to have imagination. Some of us get just kind of like, well, and that might be me, guys. Like, I have a hard time envisioning. My wife is really, really good with kind of seeing how things would be. And, you know, I always help her with inspiration because she can kind of see what it would look like. But sometimes, you know, as a new construction, if they're built in the last 5 years, staging is a big thing. So if you're looking to get your home sold and maybe you move things out, we have an opportunity to stage. We can physically stage your property. I can tell you some of the homes that we've helped not only sold for more money, but sold quicker. And then we can do something called virtual staging where we look at online because we know 87% of people, they're going to start looking online. So, you know, it's as much as if you don't have a right presentation online as you have a physical showing, right? You know, so a lot of our showings and some of our technology that we use in our team here is that our guys in California, Chicago, Colorado, or Texas, they can walk through the whole home in the comfort of their living room. You know, so when they come in town, they've already did a tour of the area. They've walked through the whole property. I had a client the other day that was measuring out the washer and dryer to make sure that it would exactly meet their needs. You know, so this is the kind of marketing that you have to get your home exposure and get the price that you're looking for. Do not use bad pictures. Do not use cell phone pictures. For goodness sakes, you know, don't go in there. And we know that if home's going to have the right presentation online, it sure can't have the wrong photos and pictures. So make sure we do that right. And then, you know, ultimately in any market, I don't care where we're at, hot, good, bad, or indifferent, don't take a low offer personally. Sometimes it's the news. Sometimes it's a buyer that says, you know what? I just want to throw an offer out there and see what they say. You know, unfortunately, that's a hard conversation that you have. Sometimes they don't work. But a good conversation with a great agent is say, listen, anytime that somebody wants to make an offer in your home, it's good to respond back to them, even if it's at full list price. It's always going to put you in the right position because you never know how many deals we've done where they've come back and we've been able to put a deal together. Memorial Day show. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys have a great holiday. Always love being with you. We send you all the love. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you next week.